All right, so we are T minus 18 hours from a huge cold snap. Um, I've done some insulating on the outside and just kind of trying to get things tidied up a little bit and sealed up a little bit. And this morning I woke up and I had all the supplies for doing a project. And of course, I jumped right into it. I forgot to make a video. So, a couple of things going on here. First of all, you can see you got foam board on the ceiling. Your roof line is always where you lose the most heat. I'm only doing a few pieces. There's going to be some gaps in it, but this should mitigate a crap ton of heat loss. So that's item one. But right above me is where the air conditioner lives, and it's a rooftop air conditioner. And I got looking at it, and I was like, it seems like that wouldn't be insulated, even though it's supposed to be sealed off from the outside. I don't think it's insulated. I popped open the cover and stuck my hand in there. It was freezing cold, huge draft. And it occurred to me that the thing that seals it from the outside is a heat exchanger, which is pretty much the opposite of what I want as my thermal barrier to hold heat in. So I took the air conditioner cover off and then I cut a piece of foam board, actually two pieces. One I stuck it up inside the channel of it, and then the other one right over top of it. So I have an R10 value, give or take. And then to help mitigate the heat loss out of the roof line, I taped off all the AC vents. Now these are foam channels and they run back into the AC. And, they're all over the place. But I figured if I tape these off, it'll help hold that cold air into the roof, which is where I want it. I don't want it in here. And then I'm taking the foam board, cutting it exactly to length, actually a smidge long, like an eighth, and that way it kind of smushes itself up into the sides, and then take out some of the bend by taping it up. And I'll run a piece of tape along this right here on this one. And I'll take the second piece and I'll butt it up next to it, and I'll run a piece going across the seam again to hold that dead air space there. The other thing I did is the vent in the bathroom. I did a 5-part sandwich of Reflectix foam board, Reflectix foam board, Reflectix. Well, you get the idea. You understand where I was going with that. Again, it's smushed up in there, so I don't really need to tape it. And it'll pop right out in the spring. And then the other item is the skylight. And this one I didn't do so well, but I'm not overly concerned about it because what I'm going to do is take another piece of foam board in here because I can feel how cold that ceiling is compared to like the interior walls. There's probably a 10-degree difference. But I put that there, and I'm going to put another piece of foam board over this part of the ceiling. That'll cut that down. And then I'm going to do this section here up to that seam. This is actually the hardware. I covered it up already. The hardware for I went through the roof line for my brackets for my solar. Don't ask me why. Mistakes were made. What's done is done. But this is just trim piece in order to cover it up and make it look pretty, honestly. But it also, if I ever had to run solar wiring or any kind of wiring across, this is just an easy access point. And then I have one more piece that's going to actually fit beautifully. No, I didn't make my bed today, but it'll fit beautifully right here. And it'll come out probably a few inches like this. But the nose is actually, based on frost in the morning and things like that, the nose is actually pretty well insulated. But we're going to do it anyway because we have a piece that's already scrap that's perfect fit. So we're going to do it. And then we're going to see what we have left over for scrap. I've got a nice chunk of wall there. I love to clean that up. And then the spot right here, that one, if I have enough left over, I know that right up in these corners here, right up in the, it's really hard to do from this angle, but right up in the curve, there we go. It's always bitter cold right through there versus, in the middle of the wall. So I want to get both sides of that. And then I should have some left over, and I thought about doing the floor just temporarily to get me through like the next 4 days of this nasty, nasty cold snap. The more I think about the floor, the problem is I need heat to my freshwater, gray, and black water tanks because I don't want to have to put chemicals in there later in order to thaw them out. And that heat radiating through the floor, I've stuck my hand underneath, and there's definitely a temperature difference. So I'm kind of thinking if I insulate the floor, yeah, I'll be more comfortable, but then I'm going to have things that are freezing that I don't want to have freeze, if I can avoid it. I did buy a small electric heater as a backup. I can always run the heater on like medium or low, and hopefully that'll allow the generator to run like a 7-hour tilt. If it runs on high, it runs about 4 hours. But I'm really hoping that doing all this extra insulation, especially the roof line, is going to have a major impact over the next 4 days. Function over form. And honestly, depending on what the impact is, there's always a possibility I may just leave it until summertime and maybe just cut out the vents for the AC and leave it up, because I know that one of my major heat sinks coming in during the summertime is the roof line. I haven't decided. That's a tomorrow problem. But so yeah, that's kind of the update of what we're doing. I could walk you through the process, but honestly, super simple. Take your measurements. You run your knife through the foil just to cut through the foil itself. Snap it, run it through the other side. Bob's your uncle, you're done. Again, I usually run about an 1/8 inch larger than my measurement from wall to wall, just so, like right there is not too good, but like right here, like this is in there, like it's jammed in there, so I don't have to tape the seam. It'll hold itself up there. It's not gonna fall. It just makes it a little bit nicer in that capacity. Yeah, I use this light quite a bit, so that one got cut out, and yeah, that leaves me a little gap here, a little gap that I can actually feel a difference. So then we may be sealing that up. We'll have to see. And then the other thing I used was these Velcro command strips on the ceiling, just in a couple of spots. And by using these, I use them like in the middle, just right near the edges, and maybe one in the middle. But that's going to help just kind of hold that middle up from sagging. They'll peel off in the spring easy enough. And it also leaves just a hair of a dead airspace between the insulation and the paneling, which is, you want that dead airspace when possible. Again, dead airspace is what insulation is. So that's where we're at today. And I've got 18 hours to finish off this project. And then I've got to go back around the skirting and do some stuff there. And I think at that point I've done everything I can possibly do. And fingers crossed, and a bottle of rum, and things will be good.